Okay, let's go ahead and kick this off. Again, we're going to be covering Meraki wireless troubleshooting. Jacky, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, Jason. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Jacky Fukushima, and as Jason mentioned, I am a network engineer at LA Networks. And yes, today I will be talking about today's topic, which is Meraki wireless troubleshooting. And today we will actually be doing more of a hands-on or practical approach. We're actually going to be logging on to a demo instant of the Meraki dashboard and kind of experiencing how it is, how it is to troubleshoot in the Meraki wireless environment. Okay. So today's agenda will be just a quick introduction of the Meraki platform, the Meraki dashboard, and the wireless and the troubleshooting, the wireless environment in Meraki, and then we'll go straight into the demo. So I will be using the Cisco dCloud Meraki Launchpad demo instant, and we'll be navigating through that, going through some pages to see what pages are useful to troubleshoot common wireless issues. And I know there's a lot of pages, and sometimes it can get a little confusing. So I kind of put the troubleshooting into sections, to three main sections. For example, the first one will be the network-wide troubleshooting section, where we can go to actually see the wireless network overall, a client-specific troubleshooting section, and finally the AP-specific troubleshooting section. And then after that, we'll kind of go through some practical troubleshooting scenarios. I did try to kind of generate some real world issues today. Kind of went into the office to kind of create some issues, and we'll go through our lab Meraki dashboard to see if we could kind of see which pages show some data points on it, how we would go through and troubleshoot and get to a root cause. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so quick intro into the Meraki. I know most likely many of you have already kind of worked with Meraki, or at least heard of the name, but Meraki is Cisco's cloud-managed network solution. They do have a comprehensive suite of products, which includes everything from switches, firewalls, wireless, SD-WAN solutions, even security cameras. And they also have sort of an endpoint/mobile device management systems, which are all being managed and controlled from a web-based dashboard in the cloud. And this is a quick snapshot of the Meraki dashboard. It's pretty nice and easy to, it's a really easily understandable layout. You have the navigation pane on the left-hand side that gives you access to all of your devices and the network for a specific site. This dashboard can be accessed from any location that has, internet connection, of course. It also provides, detailed visibility into your network, so your network performance, all of your device and their status, and even user activity. And we will see how, this greatly helps in troubleshooting network issues. It's also, the learning curve is pretty low. Users of varying technical skill levels can effectively manage and maintain the network with pretty fairly minimal training. Okay, so and Meraki does have its full stack network solutions. Today we will be focusing on the wireless. Meraki offers their MR line access points for their enterprise-grade wireless solutions. They work fairly well in various use cases. I have deployed them in offices, schools, retail stores, healthcare institutions, and science labs, even outdoor deployments. They're very easy to set up and deploy with their zero-touch provisioning solution. You can pretty much pre-configure all of your settings remotely on the dashboard. And once you're ready to install, you just connect the AP to a working internet connection. It will download all its configuration from the cloud, and it'll be ready to use. The MR series does have high-performing radios. It integrates well with enterprise security products, and they're also well equipped for the the future with their Wi-Fi 6E products. So through this training today, I kind of wanted to show how the Meraki dashboard helps in troubleshooting wireless issues using the Meraki dashboard. I know a lot of troubleshooting in wireless can be challenging at some times. For one, it is often difficult to find out where to start when you're looking into wireless issues because Wi-Fi generally it works pretty much automatically most of the time. So when it does stop working, it can be anything. So there is a lot of factors that contribute into the Wi-Fi issues. So it can be overwhelming at sometimes to find out where to start. A lot of the times I feel that it is difficult to, validate the accuracy of a reported problem as well. A user can say, hey, I can't connect to this specific SSID network. I've been trying multiple times all day. It's been failing. I can't get it to work. And you go in and you do some pretty extensive troubleshooting, and you find out they never really connected to this certain SSID at all that day. They were trying to connect to a different SSID. So a lot of times trying to confirm what reports you're getting is kind of challenging. A lot of times, the reported issue has already passed, and it's hard to go back into historical logs if there are any to look into that specific time. There's, wireless issues can provide like a lot of data points to look into, and there's a lot of possible causes. So it's really hard to sometimes get to a resolution. And then when if the network is pretty much down, people are complaining, it's kind of hard, challenging to try to get to that resolution as soon as possible. So how is troubleshooting on the Meraki dashboard make it easy? First of all, the single pane of glass structure that Meraki has, it provides, this view of the entire network, all your configurations, all your network status, as well as your historical logs, your troubleshooting pages, are all in this one location that you can access pretty easily. Some platforms, pretty much like all the on-prem platforms, sometimes the controller can only give you certain, live data only, the current status, but you can't really go back into the historical logs. You can't go back and see if there was an issue of this specific user at this particular time. So having this one location where you can actually check your configurations and you can look at, logs and troubleshoot, I think it's pretty powerful. Meraki does give you detailed visibility into the device status and overall network. So if somebody does present to you, hey, I'm having a problem, and you're kind of thinking, okay, is what they're reporting actually, accurate? You can actually go in and check if you do have a specific MAC address that you could look into, go into that client's information at that time. Were they actually trying to attempt to connect to this SSID network? Meraki does provide that. Meraki does have the real-time insights. They also provide some root cause analysis, and they also have all the historical logs. I think they provide up to, most of their basic troubleshooting pages provide up to 30 days of logs, so you can go back a month to look back into. So all these kind of help in making wireless troubleshooting a little bit easier. Okay, so today I will be using the Cisco dCloud instance, the Meraki Launchpad demo for the first portion of the session to show and navigate through some pages. And again, I mentioned since there are a lot of pages, I did divide it into 3 sections, the network-wide, the client-specific, and the access point specific. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so just an introduction before we get into it. So if you are looking, first of all, to look into the wireless network wide issues, or if you don't know where to start and you kind of want to get an overall picture of what the wireless network health looks like, this is where I would start off. And it is under the wireless tab. I'll kind of go through this, but it's under wireless, under monitor, and then there's a tab called overview. And when you go in here, there's some additional tabs at the top of the page that provides you a little bit more additional information and data points that helps you look into the overall wireless network. So let's get right into it. I'm going to switch over to the Meraki dashboard instant demo. Okay, so here's the Meraki dashboard. And as you can see the navigation pane on the left-hand side here. And where we're going to go to is the wireless tab under monitor and a tab called overview. And this is a very good page to kind of look at, to see your overall network health at a quick glance, pretty much. It's a fairly recent current status. It does have a filter section, but it only filters back up to the last week. But it kind of aggregates all the data points that Meraki gets from the wireless access points, and kind of shows you in these three key areas. The first part is the network connection health. You got the performance health, and then the network service health. And the connection health pretty much is your the connection, how well are users connecting to the network. So are they even able to connect to the network? This is even prior to connecting to the network. If they're having issues, you would kind of see if there's any failed clients. For example, this is within the last 2 hours of all the people who have connected to this wireless network, how many have failed. And it'll give you sort of a metric, a rating of out of like the total connected users, what percentage had failed. You see right here that there's 3 users that failed out of the 4 within the last 2 hours. And if you click on the failed clients, you actually get a little bit more detailed view of what SSIDs, what particular SSIDs had most of those issues. They also kind of break down into what connection stage the issue occurred. So we see here that a lot of the authentication failure issue was seen on the Corp SSID, as well as one DHCP issue that occurred on the guest SSID. So you'll kind of get an idea of how well the users are actually being able to connect to the wireless network. If you kind of go down here, you'll see the actual impacted clients. And you could actually drill down into these clients, and they will take you to their client-specific page that I'll kind of go through later. But that's a good thing also about Meraki is that they kind of link these pages. So once you kind of drill down into a specific issue, you could drill down further to look more into what could be causing this issue. So these are the affected clients. You would also see, what are the top affected access points? Are all the access points being affected, or is it only certain access points being affected? You could kind of look further into that as well. It's kind of a really good insight into your connection health. This pane also kind of shows you the time to connect, how long it takes for a user to connect to the network, as well as roaming, which is how the users are disconnecting from one AP and connecting to the other. So really good kind of a quick glance look at the connection health. Same thing for the performance health. Now this is more of when a client actually connects to the wireless network, how good is their experience? Are they experiencing latency? Are they experiencing really low signal strength, or are they experiencing good Wi-Fi? So you could kind of see these are kind of averaged out values. So for example, the performance health it kind of shows you how many percentage of the users, the connected clients, are experiencing bad signal quality. And it kind of bases it off of Meraki's baseline value, which here it says 27 dB. So out of all the connected clients, how many people are experiencing lower than 27 dB? And if a certain percentage of users are experiencing that, you'll get a certain health score. So right now, the average is 50 dB, which is pretty good. You'll see a latency value as well as how much packet loss there is. You could also still drill down to see, how their connection SNR is per SSID again. And then also the impacted clients and access points. I think for each, you can actually drill down to which SSIDs are experiencing these values. At the very end here, these are the networks. This is the network service health indicator. It kind of tells you the health score of all the I guess like the wired servers that are related to connecting a user, a wireless user. So there is the radius portion where users are using to authenticate, the DHCP server where users are getting their IP address as well as their DNS for resolution. So if you do see a radius success rate of 8%, only 8%, you'll see that if you drill down, you'll see that a lot of the corp users, most likely using the radius server for authentication, it seems that they're all failing right now. So there is an issue with the radius server. We do also see some issues with DHCP in this network. On the guest network, there's 4 failures, but there are users on the network that are having successful DHCP, so there might be some issues with this particular SSID. So you could kind of drill down, kind of find out a little bit more detail as you go in. So a very good, I think, a starter page. Again, if you aren't really sure to start looking, you could kind of come here and look at your current network status and kind of start drilling down to see if you can find, start finding some issues. Okay. Another good page that kind of shows you the overall wireless network is your access points list page. This page kind of shows you all of your access point devices all in one page with their specific details. So you'll see here that you'll see each of the access points, their serial numbers, their models, MAC addresses, and IP addresses, as well as their current status. And then there are some real-time values. For example, you get to see if their current clients, their currently connected clients, as well as their performance values. So how, are there the connected clients, what is their performance like right now? And very nice to kind of have this one page to look at because you can actually drill down into each access point to see all these values, but it's sometimes kind of good to look at the overall picture. These columns are customizable. You can actually add columns that are important to you, the data points that are important to you, you could kind of add so that you have it at a quick glance. I sometimes, I add the Ethernet LLDP information, which kind of shows you, okay, this access point is connected to, this switch port, this port. And you can kind of drill down. If you do have, a Meraki switch, you can actually drill down, see the connection health there. I also like adding the onboarding score. This is kind of synonymous with the connection health. It pretty much tells you what the connection health of the clients that are trying to connect to this AP is. So if you see like 33%, most likely there's some issues with users trying to connect to this AP. So it's kind of a good place to kind of see the overall status of your APs. Now, you might have a lot of APs. Right now we see, I think we have 15, but what if you have like 100 APs and like all of them can't really fit into this page? A good summary indicator on this very top portion, it gives you the status of all of your APs on this summarized top portion. So out of all for example, if you did have 100 APs, if they were all online, you would see 100 online. If there are certain APs that have gone offline, you would see it right here, and you could actually filter it. If you click on it, it will only bring up the offline AP. So it's like a quick way to see if an AP went offline, and that could be causing an issue. So this is very, very nice to have, to kind of give a quick and easy way to see the status of your access points. The network health page, I think, is also very informative. It gives you sort of a more detailed look into your overall network. So, the first page kind of gave you a quick glance into, the connection health, your performance health. But if you kind of drill down to the actual access point health, or the wireless health, it kind of shows you a little bit more information on the affected clients. And then it actually shows you the connection steps and where they are most of the time failing. And you could see that most of the time within this time frame, users are failing at the DHCP level. And then if you actually go down a little bit more, it tells you the connection issues by the SSID. So you'll see, okay, the guest network is having major problems with DHCP, 100% failure rate, one client, although it is one client affected. They will tell you the clients that are being affected, as well as what access points are seeing the most failures. And then, of course, more the latency. Right now, you don't really see too much latency, but it'll kind of show you these values. So a little bit more detailed information on the connection and latency status. Okay, so the connection log, this page actually will give you sort of a more insight into why certain users might be having issues. They actually pull up only the failed client information on this page. So you'll see they'll give you a timeline, the actual client information, which access point it had issues on, the SSID, and the failure stage, as well as a failure reason. Now, Meraki doesn't really doesn't always give you a good actual reason, a clear reason on why certain users have failed. You do have to kind of dig a little deeper. So you do get a reason. Okay, was a timeout on the EAP frames. So it has something to do with authenticating through the Radius server. So you do have to kind of look. Okay, the failure reason is this. Let's kind of take a look at the Radius server. Is it reachable from the Meraki? Maybe you have to go into the specific Radius server and look at their logs. But at least it kind of points you into the direction of what may be causing the issue. Here we have a DHCP issue, just saying that the DHCP server is not responsive. No DHCP response. So from here, we could kind of take a look at, more into the DHCP server. So not always clear, but it will kind of point you to the direction. Yeah.
Hey, Jacky, we
Yes.
did have a quick question. What's the capability for Meraki WAPs to automatically adjust their transmit and receive power so that they mesh with one another? Right. So
So
if a WAP fails, for example, will the others try to compensate to cover things like that?
yes. Yes, so Meraki does have their, auto RF algorithm, and they do kind of detect, their surroundings. So if an access point does go down and the RF coverage does, decrease in that area, the surrounding APs will kind of calculate, kind of measure, and they will increase or decrease depending on, how much, I guess, radio signal they detect. And yes, so they will kind of self-heal to kind of cover, compensate for that failed AP. So yes, Meraki does do that.
Okay. Do you feel like they do a pretty fair job of it, or is it a little hit and miss in your opinion?
I've actually I haven't really had any issues. I don't think. I think they do pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. But of course, it really does also depend on your design too. If the access points are already kind of too far apart, and one access point goes down, like, yeah, and the coverage is it's kind of hard to cover that. There might be issues there, but if there's a well designed layout, if the design is well good, then I think it would work pretty well.
Okay. Charlie, did that answer your question okay?
Okay, going on to the timeline, this is a good page to kind of get a lot of information. It kind of overlaps with the connection logs because it does kind of display all the connections, successful and failed connections in one page, but it also adds to it the radio information, so for the RF information. So what channel the user was on at the certain time, what band they were on, as well as the signal strength at the time of connection, as well as sometimes they'll give you additional information. For example, the VLAN, the radius server that it was trying to reach out to, and if it was a failed connection, it'll try to give you sort of a failure reason. And some of these logs will give you sort of a drop down, and this is where I think you would get a little bit more information on the root cause and recommendations on what you should look into next. So Meraki kind of takes all this data, kind of correlates it with the other information, all the data points that it got, and then it will kind of steer you to possible root causes and the reason why they came up with that root cause analysis, and then the recommendations to kind of your next step, I guess. So it kind of helps you. It's sort of like an assistant kind of helping you to look at what places to look at next. So I think it's very helpful. This page, the timeline and the connection log page, this is not just specific to the network-wide troubleshooting pages, I guess. For example, the client-specific page and the access point-specific page, I think they both have their versions of the connection log and timeline, where it kind of does its filtering for you. So if you go to the client-specific page and go to that connection log, it will actually show you the connection logs for that specific client and only that client. If you go to an access point connection log, it'll show you all the connections that happen on that access point. Same thing with timeline. It'll show for the client specific, it'll show you the timeline of only that a specific client, so you don't have to kind of search for that user like you do have to do here on the network wide. It'll only show you that one specific user's connection, so you could kind of trace how this user was connecting to different access points, what band they were on, what channel they were on. So yeah, it's kind of universal. I'll kind of show you when we get to that page, but you'll see it there as well. Okay, so this is basically the network-wide troubleshooting pages that I think are very useful. I'm going to go back to our slide. And next up, we're going to be looking at the client-specific troubleshooting pages. So where I would usually go for client-specific information is actually under the network-wide, under the clients page. And under the clients page, you could go to the specific client summary page. And on top of the specific client page, you'll get additional tabs that you could drill down into. Here's the connection logs that I was kind of talking about, but it also will show you the performance of that specific user, roaming behavior, and then again the timeline. So this is a very good page or pages to go to when you actually have client-specific data. So somebody gives you the MAC address, or if somebody, gives you a good time frame, you can actually drill down and get a good visibility into the actual user data. All right, so let's go into So here is the network-wide tab, and under Monitor, you have your clients. Now, if you do have a full stack or combined network with switches and firewall or switches, you would actually get wired clients as well as wireless client information all in one page. This is very similar to that access point summary page list that I kind of showed you before. It gives you detailed information of the user, the description, what they're connected to, their MAC address. For the wired clients, they'll give you ports. Let's kind of look into the wireless. You can actually filter only wireless clients through this filter right here, and it will bring up all your wireless clients that was connected within the time frame filter up here. So within the last month, these are all the unique clients that have connected to this network. So as we can see, we see that there's 4 clients that are still connected, and there are 2 clients that have connected but have probably disconnected until this time. So it gives you a good summary of what clients have connected to your network. This page also gives you customizable columns where you can add important information or relevant information for you for what you're trying to look into. You can actually add, for example, the capable Wi-Fi standards of a certain client, and you'll see, oh, this device is AC compatible, both 2.4 and 5. So you could again see in one glance on one page all the information of the connected clients. But the most important information is when you actually drill down into a specific client, it'll give you a lot more information and visibility into the specific user and the device. So, all right, so here for Dan Gore, we get client-specific information. For example, if they're currently connected or not, the SSID that they were connected to, their access point. If they're connected, oh, this person just disconnected, but as you saw, you would actually see their current SNR level and what channel they're currently on. The device information, what OS their device is on, their capability. In this little section right here, you could actually see how the user is connected to the network and the internet. It'll show you the path that it's taking. And if you do have Meraki switches and firewall, it'll show you the status. And if you hover over each of the devices, it'll kind of give you the health of that device. Right now, everything kind of looks green, but as you can see, the access point, there is a little alert button, which is showing that this AP is having some channel utilization issue on the 5 gigahertz. It's more than 50%. Most likely, a lot of users are on the 165 channel, and which possibly could cause some issues. So good information on the path that the user is taking out. But it looks like right now the user is connected with good status. And you'll get some network information. You can even ping the client from the AP. It has some application details as well. I didn't really show, but it'll usually, if it's insufficient data, but it'll kind of show what application the user was using. So a lot of good details on this page.
2 quick questions, Jacky. Yes. Can you easily filter wireless clients from switch port clients in one of these screens?
Let's see, switch port clients to, oh, you mean from the main page? Or yeah. Let's see, from here, right? So yes, there is. It's very easy. You just go to this filter up here once it populates. So on the status, or I'm sorry, the description, you'll see it's either a wireless client or a wired client. And the way to filter easily between switch port clients and wireless clients is if you go to the connection type, and you will see if it's either a wired client or a wireless client. And I just clicked the wireless just to filter the wireless users, and that will bring up only the wireless users that has connected to this network in the last month. You can do that with your wired clients as well. You could disconnect wireless and all your wired clients will come up.
Yep. And can we disable IPv6 in any way, shape, or form? That's maybe a little bit outside the scope of just Wi-Fi, but you might know anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that again? You kind of cut out.
Oh, sorry. Can we disable IPv6 at all? Which is probably a little outside of just Wi-Fi, but is that possible to do? Do you know?
Actually, yeah, I'm not really sure. I think so. When you're configuring, it depends on. So if the, I think there is a way when you're configuring the actual network. I think on, for example, the firewall, when you are configuring the address in VLAN, you can disable IPv6. But not really sure on the switching side. Yeah, sorry, I'm not too familiar with that aspect.
No worries.
So I might have to do some research, sorry. But yeah, okay. All right, so I will, continue on. So going back to that wireless client that we were looking at, so we went through the client's summary page. And the next tab is the Connections tab. And as I mentioned before, this is probably the same. Oh, actually, it's a little different. Sorry. So this actually kind of pulls the connection stats similar to the network health page, where it tells you, you know, what the rate is of the connection is. So here you'll see. So 40% of the connections are successful. So this person had 92 total connections and 55 failed. It'll show you on what SSID this person was on when this failure occurred, what primary failure it was, as well as this connection stage graph. And it'll show you, okay, it failed on the auth 16.3% of the time, and then at the DHCP level, 43.5% of the time. You could actually drill down, I believe, into these links, and I believe it'll take you to the actual connection event log. Well, where it will show you the failure reason. Yes, so it does bring you to the connection log of this specific user now on the failure step of DHCP, so that you can kind of look into the failure reason, although it does only say DHCP server, but it's a quick way to kind of get to this part. So that's the connections page. You could definitely filter. This page actually gives you a little bit more flexibility. You could custom range your time frame, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like last hour or last day. You could actually go specifically on that day, on that a specific time that the issue happened. So I think that's very, very helpful way to kind of narrow down. Yeah, so it's a good place to kind of check your connection status. Okay. This page, I think, is probably one of the most powerful pages to come to look at if you are having sort of more of not like an RF issue, I guess, like a performance issue. Yes. So it's after you connected, and if you are if a user is complaining about slow Wi-Fi or disconnection, those are always really hard to kind of pinpoint from an engineer standpoint, because it really could be anything. So that's where I mentioned it's kind of hard to find out where to start, and then also hard to find out, like, validate what the user is reporting. But this page kind of gives you all that information. So within, you could kind of drill down into the time frame of the time that the user had experienced reported the issue, and you could actually go in and see, kind of hovering over this, you could see which AP the user was connected to, and on what band, and how long the user was connected for, and then you'll see the signal quality of the user while it was connected to this network. You'll see the wireless latency. And then you'll see kind of correlated data points of, for example, the utilization of the AP the user was on at that point in time. It seems that there's a little bit of high utilization. The AP usage of the connected AP, and then the clients that were connected to that same AP that you were on at this certain time. So it kind of gives you that time frame. You could kind of trace where this user was at, which AP this user was connected to at that certain time. So it kind of eliminates that guesswork. Where it's always hard to find out, like, at this certain time, where was this person, like, connected to? What band was this person on? What was the wireless and health at that time? Was there a lot of utilization? Was there a lot of clients connected to the same AP? Maybe that's why the network was slow. Maybe the person was on 2.4 instead of 5. You get all that visibility in this one page. And you could also kind of drill down into a custom range. So you could go back 1 month worth, get to a specific time, and see what that the wireless performance was during that time. Although it's kind of hard to bring up. Sometimes it might take a little bit of time if you go too far back, but it does give you that information. So yeah. So a great way to kind of look back into past events and more granular outlook into your user. Another good tab for client-specific issues is the roaming tab. I think this is a fairly new tab page that, this person doesn't really have that much, but let me see if another user has a little bit more information. But the roaming tab does give you specific APs that the clients roam to. It'll show you at that time what signal strength it was experiencing, what band it was on, and then it'll kind of also show you, like statistics on if it was a bad roam or a good roam. Let's kind of take a look at this person. So yeah, a little bit more information here. So this tab only kind of gives you 24 hours worth of information, but you could kind of see, if you kind of scroll through the time frame, you'll see some suboptimal roams. All the access points that the user roamed between will be showing up here, and it'll show where it kind of jumped. In the little chart down here, it'll show you exactly what RSSI it was experiencing when it roamed, from what band to what band, and then the roam time. So during this particular moment, the user roamed from this AP to this AP, NEC 37 to NEC 31, so it went to better signal strength AP, but for some reason it was experiencing suboptimal roam, maybe because of the roam time. But yes, you can kind of go in and see if there was a bad roam during the time of the issue. Was it sticking to a certain, AP and experiencing very, bad signal quality? Did it get disconnected? Like you could see a lot within the last 24 hours, I guess, but good information that can actually pinpoint some root causes. This is the timeline page that I explained before, but this is specific to this client. It'll show you all the connection events of this client throughout the time frame that is filtered here. You can filter even more through the filters up here, like what band, like if you want to just check the 5 gigahertz band, these are all the connections to the 5 gigahertz. What SSID, probably, yeah. So yeah, more specific timeline event view, which I think is very helpful. So, excuse me. So yes, that was the client-specific troubleshooting pages. Oops, I missed that. Finally, we'll kind of go through the access point specific troubleshooting pages. And this is actually accessed from that access point summary list. And when you click into the actual access point, it brings you up to their summary page that has additional tabs at the top that you could go into. And you'll see tabs like event logs or that timeline page, connection page, and performance page that we saw similar on the client level. But all these are, you could drill down into to look in more specifically into that issue. So let's take a look. So we'll go into wireless, monitor. You could go through the overview page, but you could actually access the access point summary list page directly through the access points tab. It'll lead you to the same page right here. It's under list. And then if you do have a specific AP that you're troubleshooting or want to look into more into detail of a certain access point, you just click into that access point. And it'll kind of give you that overview page similar to what we saw on the client's page, but specific to this AP with a lot of details and visibility. And not only is it just the access point details, but also some live data. So first of all, on this left-hand portion, it'll give you all the information of that specific access point. It'll show you the SSIDs that are configured on it, the radio settings. You'll see, what each radio transmit power is, their channel width. You get their IP information, the connected switch ports, and then, some additional information down here. But I think the most relevant portion, I would say, is this live data. It has actual live information of the connected clients, the traffic that is going through the access points, and then the server connection status. So I think this is a good page to come to if you are doing some live troubleshooting. When you do have somebody, if you could find somebody on site to see if they could test connecting to this AP. Are they really connecting? And if they do connect, what signal strength are they experiencing? What channel are they on? It gives you a quick look into the current clients. Sometimes if you do have some DHCP issues, you would see an error log here. Oh, sorry, all these server logs here. You'll see if there's issues with the radius server. You'll see like it go red and it'll show you the logs and some error messages. Same thing with the DNS and DHCP. Right now, everything looks okay, but it will lead you to this, I guess under this LAN tab, all the LAN connection. So the radius server, there's 0 radius failures, as well as, this network doesn't have any failures. But if it does, you'll see like maybe 5 out of 5. You could drill down and look at the actual status, the frames, the ACKs, and so it's a very good place to kind of look into to see if the servers are responding properly. So that was from the summary page. You could also look at the current radio health or status or utilization real time, actually, and you'll see that, of course, 2.4 is congested always, but it seems like it's having very high utilization, and then also on 5 gigahertz, which is usually not normally like that, but you're seeing over 50–60% of utilization on the 5 gigahertz. So there might be some, issues with this. So at a glance, you could see the status of the access point and its radios. So very good page. The historical data down here, I think this page kind of connects, it'll show you the connection failures on that specific access point. You'll see that 67% failed on authentication and 33% failed on association within the last 2 hours. You'll see the most problematic SSID and the most problematic client. So a lot of good details and maybe next step places that you can go to do some troubleshooting. It leads you to the event log page, very similar to the connection logs where it just shows you the failed connection, and then the failure reason. So it kind of leads you to trying to find out what that root cause is. This page, because it's the event log, you can also see all the events of this access point, and you'll see all all the clients that connected to this access point, as well as I think it'll show if there was an RF channel change or transmit power change. It'll show up here. So if you do have want to kind of drill down to a specific time and look at what the the channel, if there was any channel changes during that time, or if there was a client that disconnected, you want to see what if it disassociated at a certain time, kind of correlated to the user experience. It's kind of a good page to kind of get that overall look into the logs. So yeah, it kind of leads you into each of these pages already, but down here is another good status indicator of your historical connectivity. For the last day, it seems that the access point has been connected to the gateway and up, and then you could kind of go back to see, if there was any disconnection with the actual access point. If you do see like a red patch there, it means it was disconnected. So you could kind of go back and see, yeah, was this access point online at this time? See, we see a little patch right here, disconnected for a little bit. But yeah, kind of a overall look at the connectivity of the access point.
Jacky,
So,
quick question.
Yes.
Quick question came up. Is there an ability to shut out or basically permanently disallow a client from trying to connect if you know they're not permitted? If you see someone who's maybe a potential bad actor, is there a way to single the
Yes,
client
there
out and shut them
is.
out of this trying to connect.
I think you could, there is a block list somewhere. Let me, I think it's on the specific client page. So if you drill down into that, the specific client that you want to not allow onto the network, let me go to wireless client. And down here, I thought there was a way. No, I thought there was. Oh, okay. I think it's here. I think you can click this block list, and it will add this. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. My microphone was off. You could add the user to this block list, and then I don't want to do it here, but I think it will add it to a block list and will restrict access to this network. Maybe we could test this at our lab, but yes, bandwidth limits or splash page. So I believe here, yes.
Okay,
You can do that.
thank you very much. Yeah, and I'm not asking you to do it, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Live share demo. I think it was just something that they were saying sometimes they just fill up the logs with failed attempts and.
Oh, okay, yeah, yes. That's a good a use case for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the access points. So that was the access point specific page. A lot of details on the access point specifically, as well as live data and its historical status. Let's drill down again. I think the other tabs we kind of went through with the clients already. So I'm not going to go through too much in detail, but the timeline, again, is this AP specific. It'll show all the connection that occurred on this AP. So if you know, if you have an access point that is having issues, you could kind of look into it to see if, all of their clients are having issues or only certain clients. And then you could drill down onto different filters as well. So same thing that like the network-wide and the client. Connections, I believe is, yes, very similar to the client connection, but from an AP standpoint. So you'll see within that access point how many clients were having issues connecting, and you could see, kind of drill down into, again, the logs, and then it gets you to that failure reason again. But yes, very similar from an access point of view. Performance. This is, again, similar to the clients page, but it will show you all the performance data from that access point. So instead of following where the clients have connected, this is pretty much what the AP was experiencing during this time frame. So it'll show you the overall client connection rate, how many clients have connected to this access point throughout the day or throughout this time frame, what the usage was. You could actually see, if you hover over this purple box, it tells you different events, and that could be channel changes, that could be transmit power changes, and you could kind of see, like, within this certain time, you see, like, this on the 5 gigahertz, the channel changed 4 times. That's a lot. So there must be some kind of instability going on. So you might want to look into your RF if you see this many changes. you will also see the average signal quality that the access point experienced. So all the connections, all the client connections on that access point, it averages out and it gives you this value. So if you do see a very low rate, it means that all the users that are connecting to this AP at that moment is experiencing very low signal quality. And you might want to kind of drill down during that time. What could have happened? Could it be like a lot of clients on that AP? Was there a lot of latency, a lot of channel utilization? You could kind of correlate. Was there a lot of channel changes happening that time? You could kind of drill down into the data. So another, the performance page I really like, because you can really look into the granular data. The data rates, I didn't really cover this on the client's page, but it does show you the data rate information. So what was the max data rate that this AP was experiencing? On the client page, it'll actually show you what was the client max data rate of that user on that AP during that time. And then it'll actually also, I think if we go back, kind of show you that, because I think it's important, because then you could see what like throughput your users were having or experiencing during that time. And then see, oh, like at that time, like I only had 50 megabits per second throughput, or 10 megabits per second throughput, and that's why I wasn't able to, get to this web page. Or so you'll kind of see it will be a good indicator under performance. And at the very bottom is where you'll see, oh, this person, that's weird. So yeah, experiencing really low. It's probably not even the last hour. Yeah, just really, for some reason, maybe not a good data point. But yes, you would see like the absolute, which is the client max at that time. And then if you go into normalize, I think it'll show you sort of the throughput, but sort of in a, not the actual value. It will kind of show you in a percentage of the max client data rate, how much of the client max is the client actually seeing on its throughput. So very good information, the performance page. Okay, so that was pretty much all the pages that I wanted to go through in the Meraki dashboard. Before we get into the scenario-based section, I was wondering if there was any more questions or any comments. There's a lot, I know, a lot of information.
Yeah, the only answer we got was not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Yeah, let's go into the scenario and then see what we get. Thanks, Jacky.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so I kind of came up with two different scenarios. One is more a connection-based issue. The second one will be more a performance-based issue. But the first one is just very simple. A user is having issues connecting to the IoT SSID. And the only information that I got
initially when I got this report was that the SSID that's having the issue is the LA NetLab IoT SSID. So let's kind of start looking in. If this is the only information that you got, where would you go first to kind of look into what may have happened? So let me first go to our lab network. Okay, so this is our lab Meraki network. And then this morning I kind of went in, created some issues and to see how it will kind of look like when we view the Meraki dashboard. So since, you know,
the only information that I got was the specific SSID network. I didn't really get any information on what user or what time frame. So the first place that I would go to is probably the overview page initially. Before, you know, I need to go back and maybe ask the customer some more specific questions. And let's kind of drill down to just the last day. And since we kind of already have the SSID information and you do have a filter for it, let's kind of look into the specific IoT network. So all this information is related to this SSID. So for right off the top of that, you do see one failed client. I only had two clients here, but we see one failed client. You see relatively high latency, even though it does say it's excellent. And then you also see a network service health score of bad. And you see already that there might be some issues with the DHCP server. But let's kind of start from the top. Let's kind of look into this failed clients page. And we see that, yes, there was a connection issue on this SSID, and it seems to be a DHCP issue. So, and then you could get a little bit more detailed. Right now, I only see one user, but if there were multiple users, then I would definitely think this is more of like an infrastructure issue, probably with the DHCP server, where it's either depending on if there are other users that are able to connect to this specific network. It could be, you know, like a DHCP IP exhaustion issue, or it could even just be a reachability issue if nobody can connect to it. So you could kind of drill down. First of all, we know now it's a connection due to a possible DHCP issue. From here, I could even drill down into this client and actually go into that client connection page and look into, okay, so on the IoT SSID network, this certain client failed 9 times on the DHCP failure stage. Let's see what could be causing that. Wow, okay, so this is the connection log for this specific SSID for this specific client, and then it'll show you all the failures, connection failures, and then the failure reason. It's obvious it is a DHCP issue, and the failure reason is there is no DHCP response. Okay, so possibly, yes, a DHCP problem. Let's go into the timeline. I wonder if that will give us a little bit more information, since, you know, sometimes it does give you the root cause analysis. So yes, so the last connection failure I see, so it didn't, I guess it roamed, but it did have a failed connection on the LANet Lab IoT on this certain access point because the DHCP server did not respond. There is a little drop-down box here, and it will give you the issue, the possible root cause. The evidence is saying that the DHCP response rate was 0 on VLAN 13. So, and then it gives you some recommendations. Okay, so we should check maybe the VLAN tag. Is it the correct network that is tagged on this SSID network? Is the upstream switch port, does it have the VLAN on its trunk to allow the users to get to reach a DHCP server and get IP addresses? You could go down this list and kind of start troubleshooting until you kind of figure out the issue. So it most likely is a DHCP problem. And just to let you know, it is, well, actually, it's more of a switch port problem. So I did remove VLAN 13 from the upstream trunk port, and that's why users are not being able to connect. So good insight from Meraki. So if we did check the switch port, I would see that there's no VLAN 13 on the trunk port. Once I add it, it should start working. So that is the connection issue. Okay, so this is a little bit more it was harder to recreate, but it is a performance issue. So user is having issues with slow internet connection on the wireless. The user is barely able to load websites on his laptop. Wireless dropped several times, and you see the no internet connection message displayed on his device. So we went in and we got his MAC address. So we do have a specific MAC address. We also kind of went in and asked, and it's turned out that the issue happened around today, July 18th, around 9:50 to 10:15 a.m. When he was in the corner office. So let's take a look at how we can use the Meraki dashboard to find out what may have caused this bad performance issue. So since we do have a specific user and a time frame, I think it's best to kind of go directly to the client and the client page and see what if we see anything on the specific client. It's always good to, even though if it's like a network-wide issue, I think it's always good to have sort of a specific data point or report, thing to look at, issue to look at, and the client is, oh, sorry, this is not my. The client information is always the best place to start. So always try to get like a MAC address. Okay, so again, going to the clients page, and I'm going to enter. You can actually filter. Actually, there's only 5 clients. So right off the top here, I see. Let's see, it was 76 each. So it was the same client right here. I'm going to drill into this user's client page, and since it was a performance issue, I would go directly to the performance tab. And then we can filter down to the actual time frame. So today, starting from around 9 a.m. or 9:50 a.m., so around, let's go from 9:30. And then go to 10:30. So that time frame. Okay. So looking at the signal quality. So from here, if you kind of go to that specific timeline, it seems that the user was having relatively good signal strength up until a certain point here, and it was around 9:50. So, and then just to let you know, this blue bar, if you look up here, is the wireless connection bar. And if you kind of hover over this information box, it states blue boxes on the x-axis of the graph will represent when the client was connected to a given access point. If you see gaps between these blue boxes, it indicates that the client was disconnected or switching APs. So you'll see that if you do see gaps, these are probably disconnection states. So during the time, it's kind of weird. I don't know why it's showing SNR level, but during that time, it was most likely disconnecting or trying to reconnect to a different AP, roaming. But it kind of correlates to the time that the user started to experience issues. Along with that, you could see that the signal strength has decreased significantly. The SNR level is only 13 dB, which is pretty low. I would say for even just normal connection, data, just surfing the internet, email, or even just regular data connection, I would aim at a signal quality level of 20 dBs or more. If you're doing latency heavy like, for example, voice over IP or video traffic on from your wireless, I would aim for anything above 25 dBs. So having any SNR that's below 20 dBs is quite low, and you might experience some issues or slow internet connectivity, slow network connectivity.
Jacky?
Yes.
Yep. There's a question in the chat asking, does Meraki offer something like a sitemap or some kind of mapping capability to identify weak areas or interference for us. So they give the example of like, hey, if you're in a multi-story office or if you're in a warehouse where you might get all sorts of signal degradation or interference between APs or between different companies on different floors of a building. Is
Mm.
that something that's built in on the Meraki dashboard, or is that something more done through like site surveys with a tool like Kakao?
So Meraki does have. I wonder. There's definitely sort of a spectrum analyzer page that you can actually see the the utilization on that specific channel. So it's actually under this R spectrum, and you could see. Let's see here. If you drill down, for example, on the 5 gigahertz, it'll kind of show you like all the channels and their current utilization. So it will, if you do see like these percentages going high, most likely that channels is experiencing high utilization and congestions. You do have this this graph that shows you where there might be like high channel usage, and then you do have this waterfall again where you might see some interference information. Interfering APs actually, I don't know if this will answer your question, but it does show you what APs this network is hearing on the certain channel. So yes, within close proximity, you're seeing all of these networks, and that could be causing some interference if it's a certain level. So I think that will kind of show you sort of your Wi-Fi environment, I guess. And then there is a place, if you do, you can upload your maps, I think your floor plan. And I wonder, and then once you place, it's kind of hard to show you, but once you do place your access points onto the floor plan, I think it will kind of show you alerts. So for example, if it is, I think it's more of a utilization alert. So if that AP is experiencing high utilization that we saw like pretty much on that access point page where the bar was going up and down, it'll show you like after it crosses a certain threshold, like it'll show you like a yellow indicator that's saying that it's probably high usage right now. But I think those are the 2 locations that you could kind of see your RF information. Sorry, does that kind of answer the question?
I think it did. We got to thank you. So I'm going to go with yes.
All right, cool. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to go back to the my specific client, and under the performance around the time frame of 9:50 to 10:15. So the signal quality, as mentioned, it seems that it's pretty low. I do see a lot of disconnections within the time that the user was connected to this the access point. Channel utilization wasn't too bad, so the AP itself was not congested, but definitely you see a decrease in the data rates as the signal quality decreased. So I think this is possibly a coverage issue. As the user went to the corner office, he went kind of further away from the access point that he was connected to. Maybe the access point that was supposed to be in his area was offline, so he just kept on connecting to this further AP and experiencing low signal quality, which caused slowness in his connection after he connected to the network. So that is a sort of kind of indicating maybe you should kind of look at your coverage if there isn't an AP in that room, possibly adding one if you do see a lot of more users experiencing the same thing. If you do see a lot more of the signal quality or the performance score go down, that's a good indicator to maybe re-look into your design and add an AP if needed. And that is exactly the case. As you saw, I only have one AP in our office, the lab AP, and I kind of tested going further and further away to the back office, and then watched some YouTube videos and stuff, and I did see the connection like lose connectivity sometimes. The video stopped, and you could definitely see the performance level go down. So that was the issue. All right, coming back here. Oh, I think that's it. So yes, is there any additional questions? I know I kind of speeded up at the end, but I hope it kind of made
sorry.
sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were just a quick housekeeping thing. Yeah, probably, Don, probably the video will be up. I don't have complete control over it, but probably by mid next week, like maybe by Wednesday or so. It's not completely in my hands. We work with a marketing company that puts in like our standard intro and outro and does the thumbnails and the hashtags and everything that a marketing company does. So I will upload the video tomorrow morning, but it usually takes them a few days to process it. So they usually start processing sometimes on Friday, but a lot of times they start processing on Monday, and it goes up by about Wednesday. So that's when you can expect it. There was a question about what do you think of the mobile client? I'm assuming, Charlie, you're referring to a mobile version of the Meraki dashboard, or are you talking about some other kind of mobile client?
Is it like clients, like iPhones or?
Oh, he might mean that. Like if you're having, yeah, Meraki has a mobile. Oh, Meraki has a mobile client.
Oh,
I've never used the. I've never used the. Yeah, it's the dashboard. I've never used it.
Oh, the dashboard. So I have actually, and I mean it's nice to kind of have when you kind of want to check on your network, but I think it is sort of limited. It was for me kind of difficult to maneuver around, and I don't think you have all the access to all the pages, and it does look a little different. So for me, like just for checking on your network when you don't have your laptop with you, might be good, but like to actually go in and do troubleshooting, I think it's a little difficult. Yeah, but you know, it's better. It's sometimes better than nothing, but yeah, I kind of find it a little difficult. Unless you have like an iPad, I guess. I don't know if the application is the same as an iPhone, but yeah.
Charlie brings up it's handy when you get a call and you're out to dinner.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, life of operations, isn't it? Yeah, it's not as feature rich. Yeah,
yes,
it just couldn't be. It couldn't be on a tiny little screen like that.
But
Charlie,
I agree.
your eyes are doing better than mine, Charlie. I think I'd say, you're gonna have to wait until I get home, or I'm gonna have to escalate to someone else because I don't think I'd be able to see it well enough. So, got new glasses, exactly. Well, I get mine on Saturday, so I guess I'll download it then. Any other questions before we wrap up, everyone? Okay.
Need help? Call our cybersecurity team and book a consultation with us today.